Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Welcome to another session today on TikTok Live with Define. My name is Katelyn, and today I am hosting our 3-month goal check-in. I'm going to give us all a little bit of time to get settled. Go ahead and grab your Define planner. I also recommend a notebook or a separate piece of paper to go alongside this. This is the result of our weekly spread, and in today's session, we'll be going over how to do a 3-month goal check-in. Hey, Esther. Hey, little you. Good morning, or good afternoon, I should say. Are you all ready to review your goals together? I'm so excited to kick this off with you guys. I want to welcome you all. So just as a little, you're scared, but yes, oh my gosh, don't be scared. No need to be. You got this. No judgment here. The purpose of this session today is, again, reviewing our umbrella goals that we've set earlier this year, because now we are in month 3 of using our defined mid-year planner. So this is going to be a time to see what's working, what's gone well, and maybe what needs adjusting. So that way we can continue moving forward through this year with that clarity and purpose. So I do recommend going ahead and opening up your defined planner. We're going to start off by flipping back to the umbrella goal planning page. And this is again at the beginning of section 1, the last step in section 1 of your defined planner. So let's do this. Let's dive in. Everyone take a deep breath. Don't be judgmental of yourself. We are going to enjoy this process and really focus on the opportunity to learn and grow. So I want to start us all off by revisiting our umbrella goal planning page. And if you are new here, an umbrella goal is a long-term goal that we have you set up in each of the different pathways. So it could be career, health and wellness, fitness, personal development, relationships, and financial. And as I'm on here today, if any questions come up or anything you want clarification on or anything you would like to share, please feel free to do so. I want this to be as interactive as it can be. So once we've established the umbrella goals at the end of section 1, we always have you break them down. Hey, good afternoon, Kelly, in the calendar portion of your planner. But before we get into that, let's start. I'm going to grab my notebook. This is our gold spiral notebook, and I'm just going to move this ribbon out of the way here for a second. I'm going to be walking you through different reflective prompts to do this goal planning activity today. So we are going to take a look. I don't know how yours looks. You might have every pathway filled out. You might have a couple really strong ones. It does not matter, okay? Does not matter. I want us to start by taking a look at the first month that you've done in your planner. So this is our 3-month goal check-in. So in our case, we are taking a look back at August. And I want you to see what pathway you are focusing on. So I'm going to write this down as we're doing it. So I'm going to actually take a red pen so you guys know the prompt and then my own answer. So I'm going to start by taking a look at the first pathway. This is health and wellness. So I'm going to write 2025 August. And I'm going to go pathway. Again, health and wellness. And then what I want you to do is take a look at the specific umbrella goal you were focusing on that month and refer back to your pathway and just write out the full umbrella goal and making sure that it is the full one. Whether if you abbreviated a little bit here, write down the full one that you were working on. So we were focusing on staying grounded and energized by nurturing a mindfulness routine that supports my joy, peace, and presence. If you guys want to go ahead and share with me either your pathway or the goal that you were working on, feel free to do so. I'd love to know what pathways you guys are prioritizing as well. So then we're going to write umbrella goal here. And I'm going to flip back. Hey, Jenna. Stay grounded. And personal development was your August pathway. Okay. Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. And energized. This might take a moment because your umbrella goal might be a little longer than some. By nurturing the reason I think it's helpful to rewrite your goals is because the more you see it, the more you'll start to connect with it and really solidify its importance and that routine of it. A mindfulness, again, I guess the word routine, that supports my joy, peace, and presence. So I'm going to have you all rewrite it here because then it makes it easier when you are flipping to your month to have it to refer back to. So you don't just have to keep flipping back and forth. And then I want us to take a look at what we set as our monthly action item. Notice I didn't say what we actually did. No, we haven't gotten there yet. So start by listing what you set out to accomplish with that monthly action item. And the monthly action item, this is what you set up to accomplish this month to help you reach your long-term umbrella goal. So I said that in order to really build the habits that support peace and presence, I am going to work on developing a consistent mindfulness routine. Mindfulness routine. Great. The next thing that we are going to do is really dive into the reflection component. So, sorry about that. I'm going to call this our reflection category. And for this, we're just going to do it in a different color. So this is going to say reflection. This is where we take the time to see what went well and how we want to keep moving forward, or whether or not we do want to keep moving forward. So these are some questions that I would recommend that you use for this 3-month goal check-in. Ask yourself, what did I do to work towards this goal? What did I do to work toward, I'm going to say my goal to make it a little more personal. This is where the question becomes, the wording's important. What did I actually do? So this was our monthly action item. I want you to then take a look back because a lot happens in a week, over a month time period. So it's important to go back and really just revisit it to get that specific connection point. Put yourself in the shoes as if it's August. We were focusing on keeping a thought labeling and keeping a log. I want you to see, did you actually do this? Did you keep track of it in your planner at all? How did this journey go for you? We had thought labeling. We also had daily gratitude. We also did evening journaling sessions. And we tried to combine the two with the AM morning gratitude and intention journaling at night. Now, I found myself really focused on my goals, especially in August. It's the beginning of the planner season, and it's that time when you feel most connected. I think a lot of times we're setting ourselves up. We're like, let's go all in, let's do it. So for working towards my goals, I was really sticking to the thought labeling. And again, any questions that come up, you guys, just let me know. I worked on thought labeling. I did not keep a log. I noticed I didn't really find the desire to, even though I set it up. I did in the moment try to label my thoughts, and I didn't write them down. So I worked on thought labeling, practiced gratitude, daily gratitude, and evening journaling. Then, this is what I want you to take a moment and ask yourself, did you combine them like you said you were going to? In this case, that morning and that evening session for gratitude and journaling. So then I was able to combine all the work I was doing and in the AM, do some gratitude consistently. And then in the PM, do the journaling. That is what I found was the best setup for myself. Morning journaling wasn't really my thing. I really found that the nighttime journaling was what was best for the way I thought about the day and what I needed at the time. So then I want you to also consider, how consistent were you? You don't have to write down every single question. You can also think of this as a little journal log. So it could also be a paragraph format. For our purposes here, so you guys can see the structure in which I am working, I'm going to continue writing down the different sets of questions that I like to think about when I'm doing my goal check-ins. So consistency is key. I'm just going to cross that out. I meant, how consistent was I? I was mostly consistent. Sometimes I would have to do a little, what's the word? Catch up on my journaling. I'm just going to write and play catch up on my journaling because it was hard to journal every single day. That was something I found wasn't as necessary that last week because I was really consistent here. The past here. But then when it came to trying to combine everything, it just felt like too much. And that's okay. We'll get there. I want to take you guys A through Z and play catch up on journaling. I also want you to ask yourself what worked well. And I'm going to walk you guys through the 3 months of this. So it'll start to become a little easier as you get to the month that you're currently in, so October. What worked well? Here's the key for when I was doing this. Having a journaling prompt for the week really felt beneficial. So I want to make a note of that. Having a journaling prompt. And it wasn't anything too crazy. It was what felt good today. And the reason why I liked having that prompt was that I wasn't just starting off on a blank page. It gave me something to guide my own session that day. And I noticed myself wanting to journal because I had something powerful to guide me, something positive and uplifting. But also, let's take a look. I know I've talked a lot about the journaling aspect because I remember that was a huge component of August. That was the biggest transformation for me, is to getting back into that. But I also want to take a look at the gratitude of it all. How did that go? Honestly, it went like I did it, but I wouldn't say it really changed my life. allowed me to focus more on the positive, but it's not something I felt I need to keep writing down every day. But what worked well was shifting my thoughts. So the gratitude allowed me to shift my perspective. That is such a great tool. Jenna said that she found a book called 3001. What a random number. 3001 things about me that ask questions that I'm going to use as a journaling prompt. I think that is such a great way to make sure that you are sticking to that journaling goal. I love that. That is guys, look that up. Wow, I'm going to take a look at that after. The last question I'm going to ask for this specific reflection part, we do all know that's okay. You don't have to like journaling. I think that's another important distinction, is that you have to find what you like and what really you want to do. Because if you don't want to do it, you're not going to do it. And it's okay. Not everyone loves to journal. But if it's something that you want to do, I think that's a great way to start it. The fourth question I want you all to ask yourself with this reflection one is, what surprised me? Because you are going to notice a lot of different feelings that come up as you are doing this. And as you look back, maybe it's the fact that you really don't like to journal in the morning that surprised you, or that the thought logging didn't really do too much for you. You didn't want to do it. And I'm going to, let's see. I was just thinking about what surprised me. And it was the fact that I was not consistent with my thought logging. And that's okay. I found that it was just taking up too much time, and I wasn't really willing to stop throughout the day. Oh, I'm excited to hear how that goes, Jenna. Jenna said that when she tries it at night, she gets too sleepy, so she's going to try it in the morning. You have to find the time that works for you, and I think that's a great adjustment. The next thing I'm going to have us all do is actually flip back again to this umbrella goal planning page, because it is important that when it comes to goal setting, that you are taking the time to adjust your goals if needed. And this is a great opportunity to do so. So we're going to call this decide and refresh. This is step 1, 2, 3. Oh, Lulu said that she was surprised. Maybe not a big surprise. I was overwhelmed with how much I wanted to do goal-wise. Okay. Which part surprised you more? If you don't mind me asking. Angela, I also missed your comment. Right now we are doing our 3-month goal check-in. So I'm having everyone grab their defined planner, doing a little reflection on how their goals are going, and I'll be walking you through a whole next example as well, so stay tuned. I really wanted to dive into what Lulu said, because that is such a great point. Sometimes it's not the act itself that's surprising, but it's the feeling that comes from the act, if that makes sense. So you didn't get what you planned on done in the first month. It was unrealistic. That is a huge point right there that I'm so glad you brought up. Oftentimes what happens when we are trying to set up goals for that first time, if you're new to the defined planner or goal setting in general, is we are excited. We're ambitious, and that is not a bad thing. But when it comes to goal planning, you want to make sure that you are intentional. And I remember we talked a little bit about this when we were doing a monthly reflection with little you, in that you want to do all these things, but there's only so much time in a day. And we all need more time, right? But that unfortunately doesn't often happen. We can't really just make up a new hour in the day. So trying to focus on the priorities. That is what is so important. Hey, Lady D. Yes, I'm so glad to hear that. And the next step is when you are going to decide how you want to continue. We're going to focus specifically on that one goal that we worked on in August. You could also you might have worked on a couple goals, whatever it was in your own personal situation. So I'm going to call this section Decide and Refresh. Here is where you are going to, what color do I want? I'm going to use the red for this. You are going to decide what is next. We've already reflected, so now we have to move forward. So I'm going to write this out like this. You guys can see exactly what I am thinking of it in my head. I'm going to write the word decide and then keep / adjust / pause / release. What does this mean? Great question. This means when it comes to starting off specifically, so we don't get that overwhelming feeling, with that goal that you set. So in mine, it was my health and wellness pathway of staying grounded and energized. I want you to review this goal, review your reflection, and ask yourself, do I like this specific umbrella goal? And is it in alignment with the season I'm at and overall the life I'm trying to live? If you are still moving through this with joy, like you're enjoying working on your umbrella goal, you think it's really going to help push you in the right direction, I want you to circle the word keep. Now, if you like your goal, but maybe there is a part of it that you wanted to change because it felt a little too much, I want you to circle adjust. If you also, there's the third option of pausing. This connects really well to Lilu's point of she was feeling a little overwhelmed by how many goals she wanted to work on. That is a great opportunity to ask yourself, which one am I ready to pause on? Let's say, you know what? I am really happy with how I am feeling in my mindfulness routine. I'm consistent with it. I am feeling more connected to I'm having more of that mind and body connection. I'm going to pause this goal. I'm not going to actively work towards it, but I'm not going to get rid of it either. That is where the pause comes in. Think of it as hitting a pause button on your progress. Or maybe there's also the chance that you set up a goal and you don't like it anymore. That's when you release it and you can cross it off. You can white it out. It is okay to decide that you no longer want to work on this goal anymore. That right there, I need you all to know is okay. Now, I hope that you're not trying to release all of the goals you set up, but if there's one that comes up that feels a little too ambitious for you or isn't in alignment with the path that you are on now that you've started your defined planner in this journey of finding your purpose, that is okay. Let it go. In terms of, so proud to hear that, 100% deleted a goal felt a lot better. If you release a goal and you feel like a weight has been lifted off your shoulders, that is a sign right there that it was meant to be deleted. If you release a goal and you're disappointed in yourself, maybe reflect and ask yourself, can I just pause on this goal and come back to it? Or do I adjust how the outcome is? Okay, and if anyone ever needs help going over how they could adjust or what's best for them with a certain goal, let me know. In this case, I am going to This one's a little tricky because I think it's so important to have this mindfulness routine that allows me to keep that journaling, that keeps me feeling fulfilled. I also am someone who naturally chooses to journal, so I'm not needing to prioritize this at the moment. But I also love the fact that I'm working on joy, peace, and presence. So you know what we're going to do? We are not going to pause or release this goal. I want us to just keep the goal. I think that is my takeaway with this. After talking it out, we are going to decide to keep this goal. Now, I want you to take a look back at that monthly action item. If you decided to keep your goal, ask yourself if you want to keep the exact monthly action item or if you want to change it. Because I think this is an important point that I want to make. When you just are doing this decision factor, I want you to look at it in terms of your umbrella goal, not the monthly reflection, not the monthly action item. Because now what I want you to do is you're going to keep your umbrella goal, and I want you to decide the next on what do you want to do for your new monthly action item. So when you decide on working on this mindfulness goal next time, whatever month it might be, you have something to refer back to. And so for us, I think another challenge that I would really like is taking a look at our evening mindfulness routine, really focusing on the before bedtime mindfulness so we can have that deeper sleep, deeper rest. So I'm going to write two things here. First, for the PM, I want to have more mindfulness in the evening. Mindfulness at night without screen. Because I'm finding that is still a little tricky. And I know I'm not the only one. And I did write this backwards. But the other thing was AM, I want to work on the energy in the morning. I want to get out of bed and I want to wake up feeling ready for the day. So I'm going to somehow work on that energy in the morning. I don't know exactly how this is going to look yet. This can just be a little brainstorming session for you as well. Amazing. Now, I want to do this for the next month. I want to make sure that this is clear on how you can go about this. I'm just going to flip the page here. And I want you guys to take a look. If you are all done with August, it'll now be time to take a look at September. I want to make sure if there's any questions on this, though, before we move into a different pathway, that we get to clarify things. This next one I'm going to be walking you through is going to give a lot of clarity on how you can adjust your umbrella goal without releasing it. So I'm flipping to September here next. Again, I'm going to write, we focused on relationships. So I'm just going to flip backwards, pull up that relationships pathway. And I'm going to make a note that this was September 2025. And our pathway was relationships. Okay, what is our umbrella goal? I'm so glad you asked. It is show up fully with presence, honesty, and a desire to bring out the best in others. Now, what did we do this month to help us get there? AKA, what was our September monthly action item? So I know that we have some of you working on personal development in August. What did everyone work on in September? Did you change your goals or did you continue working towards it? We focused on having at least 3. You worked on career in September. Thank you so much for sharing this, by the way. And relationships. Okay. Distraction free. Amazing. Now, again, because I do want to follow a similar reflection process to keep that consistency to help reveal those different types of insights, we're going to start by asking ourselves, what did we do to work towards our goal? What did I do So identifying is, hey, Shauna, good afternoon, is taking a look once again at the weekly action items. This one, I remember, it's funny how some goals you are going to remember working on so strongly, and that is a good sign right there. So I remember I was focusing a lot on scheduling in specific times for this weekly action item. For this monthly action item. So that is exactly what I'm going to write. I was intentional about my weekly action item. I scheduled in the 3 times each week. The reason why it is so important to have these check-ins is to refamiliarize yourself with what went well, what maybe you want to improve on, so that way you can be continuously growing towards your goals. Otherwise, it is so easy to kind of forget all the progress you've been making, all the goals you've been trying to accomplish. So it's important that you take this time, and I'm so glad that you guys are doing this with me today to build this new routine for yourself. So we're going to then ask ourselves, thank you, how consistent was I? I remember being really proud of myself in September. You can. This is actually going to be this is so helpful for anyone with ADHD. We actually have a large customer base that has that ADHD due to the specific layout of our planners. So how consistent was I? Because consistency, exactly. Consistency is the hardest part with anything in life, whether it's the goal planning, whether it's showing up. Consistency is the hardest part. That's why it's so important. And I'm going to celebrate my progress. That is what is so important to do with these planners too. And that's why I love the structure, is that we want you guys to be recognizing what is working so you can have that moment to celebrate. So I'm proud, because you don't always, I'll finish what I'm writing first. I'm proud of what I accomplished. I set a goal and achieved it. Because I know so often we think of journaling, we think of reflections as the time to be critical of ourselves. And in a way, sure. But at the same time, I also want us to think of that criticalness as a positive. Think of what you did do well, if that is the case, because there is definitely something there. And that is going to help you stay motivated and inspired to keep going. Because remember, it's that small progress over time that leads to big results. And so I was consistent. But I also want to ask ourselves one more thing here, a little bit. I don't think we actually asked it for the last one. I want you to dive a little deeper and ask why. If something comes up that you find that you can elaborate on as to either why or why not, I want you to take that chance. So we are going to also write why, because that is a key part of reflection. Taking it one step further than you normally would. I was more consistent with this goal because I want to just refer back one more time to my reflection, actually. So I guess forward. So taking a look at our September monthly reflection and seeing why was I successful. I think part of the reason was what I wrote because I really wanted to focus on being more present because I was noticing I was distracted more and I could feel I could just feel it that I needed to prioritize this part of my life because I hadn't for a little bit. I was more consistent with this goal because I hadn't been prioritizing time with others. I felt like I wanted to challenge myself to do something different. Or to step outside of my routine. Because I love a routine. I think it's really helpful. And at the same time, challenging yourself on certain pathways to change it up so you can grow in another part of your life. Again, trying to make this clear, you guys. If anything comes up, just let me know. Outside of my normal routine. And then we had asked ourselves, what worked well? So I'm going to ask ourselves what worked well. For me, it was the scheduling it ahead of time and being extra intentional about this system I was establishing. Scheduling the time with others at the start of the week. Rather than trying to hope it happens, I was extra intentional about this. I was more intentional, but I also want to say purposeful with my time. Okay. Next, or the last question I want you to take a moment and ask yourself is, what surprised you? So taking a look at, okay, what were our weekly action items? What were we successful with? What was your biggest surprise for September? This is, I don't know the best way to phrase this, but almost like how much I enjoyed it. The reason why I also I remember focusing so much on this during September was because that is kind of when the sun starts. I know like now is when it really gets dark early. And so I wanted to make sure I had the tools ahead of time to take on the tough times that come when it gets dark so early. And so what surprised me was how much I enjoyed switching things up. But also how others also want to do the same thing. Like, I think we assume that others are in this routine too, that maybe they don't want to mix it up. They don't want to go do something on a Tuesday night. But I was pleasantly surprised with how that wasn't necessarily true. Yes, some days you're going to have meetings too late that it really does get in the way, but there's going to be at least one day that you are going to be on the same schedule as someone else, and they're going to be so excited to meet up with you. Okay. Now, I mentioned this earlier, and I want to make sure we get back to it, was the decide and refresh session. So again, let's go through this because this is so important. Decide and refresh. So what I want you to do is flip back to your umbrella goal planning page here. The other page is the exact same as this. It is just for a different goal. So we had that same setup. The purpose of this is to really get that familiarity, help go over any questions that may come up. So when we were focusing the first time, it was for our August goal. And so the next step that we're taking is to move on to September. Yes. So decide and refresh. We are going to ask ourselves, step one of this is decide. Do you want to keep your goal? I'm just going to review the exact order that we have. Thank you so much, lady. I appreciate that. Keep, adjust, pause, and release. So flipping back, I wanted to just pull this up closer for the moment to your umbrella goal planning page, reviewing the specific umbrella goal that we are working on, whatever it might be for your September. So, umbrella goal under relationships, show up fully with presence, honesty, and a desire to bring out the best in others. Now, I want you to ask yourself, are you in alignment with this goal? Do you want to keep it? Is there a change that you want to make? I'm going to dive more into this part because that is how I'm feeling with this goal. Do you want to put this on pause? Either you don't want to work on your specific umbrella goal for now, or do you want to take a break or work on it in the background without it being this forefront? Or do you want to get rid of it completely? Do you want to let it go? Is it no longer serving you? For this one, I wanted to make a change. So I'm going to circle adjust, and I'm just going to put this back over here so I can really break this down for you. When I first wrote this goal, I thought it was a perfect umbrella goal to encapture how I wanted to feel. However, every time I turn back to it, it's not specific enough. It's not the best umbrella goal that I could have. I know my health and wellness goal is a little similar. However, I did like the clarity that the mindfulness routine included, whereas it gave me the how and the why, because I want it to be that joy, peace, and presence through a mindfulness routine. This I felt was more doable. This felt a little too vague. Because yes, this is great and I do want to do this, but I feel like we can get more specific. How? Great question. Let's dive in. Because you see here how I have expand my community through new classes and experiences. That is specific. That gives us action points to work off of. This does not. So what do we want to do instead? The thing I learned most was that it wasn't necessarily how can I explain this? What I really took away from working on this was the spending more time on getting out of my routine to connect with others. So to make this more specific, we are going to do a little brainstorming. So I want you to first ask yourself why you want to adjust your goal. I'm going to write the word why just once again. It is critical that you ask yourself why you want to adjust it. My umbrella goal is not specific enough. There's not a measurable way to really go about this. So what can we do instead? I'm trying to think of this. I think it's more important that we are spending quality time with friends. Let's see. Is that measurable enough though? Let's see. I think we can do better. We are going to get down to the nitty-gritty of it. I think once a month, we get together with someone we haven't in a while. Okay, we're getting there. You see, though, how it's not necessarily the first goal that comes to mind that's going to be the one that you go with. It takes a little bit. It takes that work. I think it's going to be scheduling. It's really about that scheduling quality time with friends and family, and putting my phone away. That's it. Because I'm thinking about it, this peace, this presence, I don't want to just remove that because that's still super important. And that was actually at the key of all of this when I first started, was showing up fully with presence and honesty. So keeping that presence, but also showing up to connect with others is more of the goal. So that's what we're going to do. So what I'm going to do is I am going to grab my whiteout. You can either cross it off, you can white it out. It does not matter. I'm going to grab the cover-up tape that I have. And I'm just going to go like this. Is that clear to everyone? Why we got there, how we got there. And I'm going to still grab, I have a pink pen next to me. Ooh, throw in the pink pen. And we're going to have our relationships umbrella goal now be maintain connections by scheduling quality time. Oops, I smudged it. That's okay. With friends and family. And then I'm going to do like a little colon here. Also, put phone away. I would suggest you probably let your cover-up tape dry for a moment, but for our purposes, I'm not that worried about it because, again, this is your planner. It doesn't have to look perfect. Okay? Now, I want us to get the full experience. So we are now going to do the third month because it's, again, 3-month goal check-in. So what month does that mean? This month. So we're going to flip to October. Amazing. And we're going to write. Can you guys see this? Yes. Okay. I'm trying to hold it so I can't tell if it's going to smudge, but that's okay. I'm going to grab the ribbon bookmark actually. Potentially. I'm just going to put that there so I don't have to hold it. So next we're going to go October 2025. What were you all focusing on in October? Or I guess this week. Wow, we're almost done October. That's crazy. So literally, what have you guys been focusing on? I can't believe it's almost done. We have been focusing on fitness. Pathway, fitness. Now we're going to flip back one more time to our umbrella goal planning page. And taking a look at our fitness pathway. Let's get specific. Our umbrella goal has been move my body consistently in ways that spark joy. How are you all doing with your goal check-in? I want to make sure that you guys are still following me. Everything's clear and that you're feeling like you are understanding why we're doing this. That is so important, Shauna. Amazing. So I would say that's probably the health and wellness or personal development pathway. And then, I did not use the ribbon yet. our October monthly action item is brisk activity 5 days a week. Now I'm just going to go like this for a moment so you guys can see. We are going to start by asking ourselves once again, what did I do to work towards this goal? To work toward my goal. Oh, I'm so proud of you. That's amazing. I always love to hear you guys are reading more. I want you to start by taking a look once again, looking at those weekly action items. So daily walks, this is what we set up to accomplish. Now I want you to also compare it with, what did you actually do? Did you do your daily walks? Were you consistent with your legs and upper body? Did you complete the series that you set out to accomplish? Daily walks. I started back up on my daily walks. I also worked on completing the Gabby George sculpt. And I was a little less, actually we'll get to that in the next question, was how consistent was I? Well, consistent with the walks. I was also consistent for 2 weeks with the series. Not consistent with legs. Asking yourself why next. Again, that why is so critical. So we're going to say, why? Honestly, I don't like doing legs, and I just kept putting it off. So I just kept making excuses. I don't have a good reason. And that in itself is a reason. Okay? Then what we're going to ask ourselves is, I want to know what worked well. Oh my gosh, that's too funny. Can we switch? Oh my gosh. I think because they're harder, I don't like to do them. Like, you know what I mean? I think that there's just so many like easier like arm exercises, and I think they're less like sweat inducing, which is always a bonus. Oh my gosh. I know. I think I'm in like, I feel like I have the controversial opinion on this one. The unpopular opinion is the word I meant. Now, again, though, celebrating what worked well. Your legs are stronger. That's the reason, actually. You guys, that is the reason there. See, that is why we do these things, because it also helps reveal different insights into ROIs and unlocking maybe a different strategy moving forward. Oh my gosh. Well, that's amazing. I'm honestly so happy for you guys that you all love it. I feel like that's like, I don't know. I just think that that's the hardest thing to love. But I guess you guys feel the opposite. Also, having an accountability partner. Okay. What surprised me? How much I don't like doing legs. Or I don't prioritize, let's say. So then what we're going to do is, this is when we also are going to, now I moved through this one a little more quickly just because this is our third month. And so you guys are probably following, you know what you're doing here. And I want to make sure that you all get to the last step of our 3-month goal check-in. But we're going to wrap up this last month, October, with, of course, the decide session. So we're going to either do keep, adjust, pause, or release. And you know what? I'm going to keep it. I got to get this down. So figuring out a way that I can incorporate this in a way that sparks joy for the leg day. That's my next goal. Okay. So I want to make sure that before I move on to the last step in our 3-month goal check-in, that if there's any other questions on how to walk through your monthly goal, then now is the time to check in, okay? How are we all feeling? Okay. So I am not touching this fitness goal. I'm still happy with it. I don't have too many qualms with it. Okay, great. You're feeling good. I'm happy to hear that. Thank you for letting me know. Because the last thing I want to do is I want to just do a quick check-in on our other umbrella goals. For these, I want you don't have to write it all down because you can or you don't have to. But I want you to do a quick check-in on the goals that you are not working on yet. And I want you to see if there is a reason why you haven't chosen to work on it. If there's one that you would like to prioritize for next month. Or do a quick check-in as well on that decide. So keep, adjust, pause, release. If you see a goal here that you are like, I'm never going to work on this, I wrote it down and it is not fitting anymore, great, release it. Walk through each pathway. This is also a great time to add a goal. So if you don't have a goal set up in your career, add that in now. I am happy with the goals that I've set out. The only one that is really screaming to me is the personal development goal, because I am very proud to say that I've already reached this goal. So we're going to adjust it. And you know what we're going to do? Actually, this is what we're going to do instead, because I don't want to necessarily change it because I'm so proud of the fact that I actually reached the goal. But I'm going to keep a spot right here that says the day that I reached it. Or what month. So we're going to write reached goal in September. And then what I'm going to do is my final count, I'll add in January 1st. So I'm just going to do a little check here because you get to also celebrate the fact that if you've reached one, take a moment, celebrate it. Do you still want to expand your community? How is your financial goals going? And then I want you to ask yourself the one last thing here is I want you to see what pathway you want to work on next month. We'll dive into that more Thursday during our monthly reflection live, but I want you to start thinking about it. Start thinking about the pathway that you want to work on in November. So that way, when the time comes, you know your why, okay? So come Thursday, I want you guys to all have that answer in mind for those of you who are on here. Okay. I'm so proud of everyone for showing up today. Thank you guys for not just showing up for me, but for showing up for yourself with this check-in. Take a moment and look at everything that you wrote today. I want you guys to, on your own, notice what you're proud of. Notice this change in your attitude that's going to happen because I want you guys to feel excited. That's what this is about, getting that new season of goals in mind. Get ready. It's about to happen. These next 3 months are about to be even more successful than the last. Keep going, keep growing, and as always, keep navigating each day with purpose. And I will see you guys next time. Thank you all once again for tuning in. Bye, everyone.